Hey, Angie Nelson here from theworkathomelife.com. Job searching isn't always fun. In fact, most people don't enjoy it at all. It can be stressful, especially if you need to find a job quickly for financial reasons. So today we're going to be talking about what you need to do if you've been applying for a lot of work at home jobs and nothing has turned up for you. It could be as easy as a couple of simple tweaks that can really change your process and start getting you noticed by those employers you want to work with. We are going to be digging into a few of the main problem areas that we see in work at home application processes. And make sure you stay until the end of the video so you can find out how to get my work at home job search checklist free. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is your resume. Is it visually appealing? Does it have a nice layout? Does it use appropriate fonts? Is there plenty of white space? First impressions count, and your resume is usually yours in most cases online. You want to make sure your resume is professional in appearance and in tone. Your second question is, how generic is your resume? Especially when we're talking about work at home jobs, it's really important that you are tailoring every resume and application to the job that you're applying for. Your resume needs to highlight the things in your work history that are really going to make you the best candidate for the position that you're applying for. It shouldn't just be a laundry list of skills and tasks and past employment or positions that you've had in order to try to make a catch-all resume. You shouldn't really be using a catch-all resume when it comes to work-at-home jobs. You really need to get specific to each position that you're applying for. And make sure that you are showing off the best skills that make you the most valuable applicant to that position. Now, one of the reasons that it's so important that you're tailoring every resume to the position you're applying to is because many companies today use computer software to run through those resumes before an actual person actually looks at them. Now, this is partially due because there is so much competition in the work at home arena. For every position that's listed online, there may be hundreds or thousands of applicants. So it's really not time effective for a company to have an individual going through each one by hand. So they will simply run them through a computer software to make sure that those resumes are matching the things that they're looking for. So one instance of this would be, let's say you're applying for a freelance writer position. If they're calling a writer, but in your application materials you're referring to yourself as a blogger, you may be sliding right through that first round without being caught, simply because you're using the wrong terms when you're referring to your position. And the same thing goes when they are referring to different skills or qualifications or personality traits that they're looking for. If they're specifically asking for something in their job listing, if it applies to you, make sure that you're using those same words in your resume or application. That will help you get through that initial scan and hopefully make sure that an actual person is seeing your resume as opposed to just slipping right through the system. Now, if you are submitting a lot of applications and nobody's calling you back, you may also want to have a friend or a family member take a look at that resume as well. We aren't always the best proofreaders of the things that we write. So it's best to have someone else take a look and see if there are any spelling or grammar mistakes that could be, just a little mishap like that could be making your resume look unprofessional or unrefined. And especially when you're getting into some more of the technical or detail-oriented work, and especially writing, you want to make sure that you don't have any mistakes that are reflecting poorly on you. Now, if you're getting actual interviews but you aren't getting any job offers, there are a couple of things that you need to look at there as well. And the good news is that these are often things that are easy to fix. The first thing you want to keep in mind is how you're actually handling these interviews. Are you conducting them over the phone or a video chat? The same way that you would in in-person interview. Now, what that would mean would be to make sure that you're not chewing gum, you're not eating while you're on the call, and you'll also want to make sure that you are conducting your interview in a quiet environment. That's really important when we're working at home, that we can show that we are focused and distraction free. This is especially the case when you are interviewing for customer service positions. A lot of times they do not want background noise of any kind, and they don't want any distractions. So you need to make sure that your interview is portraying that for your own work environment. Make sure you don't have kids screaming in the background or dogs barking outside or your television on. You want to make sure it's quiet, showing them that your interview is a reflection of how you will work. Now, the most important thing about an interview for an online job is to make sure that you are on time. If you can't be prompt when you are trying to secure a position, the company is going to have very little faith that you're going to be able to meet deadlines or show up to your shift on time. So make sure that you have got yourself in place ahead of time and that you've done a quick run through. If you are going to be doing your interview through Skype or Zoom, make sure ahead of time that that software is installed and it's up to date, so that when it's time to actually be on the call, you're not waiting for some software to download. You are also going to want to make sure that your phone line is really strong and secure. If you're conducting on a cell phone, you are going to want to make sure that there's no connectivity issues there. So it may be in your best interest to conduct your interview on a landline if possible. Now, if you are not going to be able to make your interview, it's so important that you let this person know as soon as possible. Don't wait until 3 days after the interview is scheduled to email them and ask for a second chance. It probably won't happen. Now, the next thing I want you to do is to do your research prior to your interview. Research the company, research the position that they are offering. Ask questions about what they expect from their at-home workers and what long-term opportunities may be available to you. This is really going to show that you're interested in their company and being with them long-term. And finally, if you think it's your nerves that are getting the best of you in your interview, try to do a couple of run-throughs with a friend or a family member. Role-playing can really feel uncomfortable and awkward, but it can sometimes help cut down on those nerves and let you really give your best when you're in an interview situation. Though we're often our own worst enemies when it comes to interviewing and when it comes to application processes in general. We're usually raised to be humble and not to be boastful, but this is really a time that it's in your best interest to dig up that confidence, to really, put a spotlight on your achievements and your accomplishments and show them why you're going to be the best candidate for that position. If you liked today's video, please make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, and make sure you're subscribed. And make sure you check out the description below for that free job search checklist that I mentioned before. And I will see you in the next video, and best of luck with your next application.